All right. Well, I'm so excited. This is another episode of My Kansas City Home.
All right.
And I have Danan Hughes, a good friend of mine, and more importantly, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. But I want Danan to talk a little bit about him, what he's doing, what his career is. We also have some compatible type businesses.
Yeah.
Us being in real estate and you being in the mortgage business. So I wanted you to just share with our audience a little bit about you, your journey to Kansas City,
All right.
the whole 9 yards.
Well, cool. Well, first, I appreciate you having me. Obviously, we've known each other for many years, and it's there's some synergies, as you mentioned, in the business world. And so, obviously, first, my name is Danan Hughes. I'm a former wide receiver with the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been here in Kansas City for almost 30 years. Made it my home. I'm married, 5 kids, 3 grandkids. And after transitioning from a 6-year career in the NFL, I got into the mortgage business right away, literally right away. I retired like September 5th, and my first day in the mortgage world was October 1st. I didn't look back and made that decision. That was back in 1999, actually, and then have been in the business for about 19 years. With Central Bank of the Midwest, and I'm a mortgage loan officer and a team lead there. I have 2 loan officers that report to me. And that's kind of been my career, my post-NFL career. I played 2 sports professionally before that with the Milwaukee Brewers. I played 2 years, and then I came to the Kansas City Chiefs. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed to not only transition right from the NFL into a great field in mortgage lending. It was something that I gravitated towards because I knew or I felt like granting a home mortgage to somebody and helping them, as you do, with achieving that dream of home ownership was something that was not only satisfying, fulfilling to them, but also to me. So I took it personally and was dug real deep into it and have been in it, almost 2 decades now. And then, as you mentioned, part of the voice of the Chiefs, I've been extremely blessed where, as well as getting into the mortgage business after football, I kind of wanted to have one foot still in sports. That was part of my life, for a large part of my life. And I was able to utilize my broadcasting degree and get my foot in the door in multiple avenues to call college football, college baseball, college basketball games on ESPN, on the Big Ten Network. I do work here with Odyssey on 610 Sports. I have my own show on Thursday nights there. And then the big thing is obviously being in the booth with Mitch Holthus and calling the Kansas City Chiefs games. So it's been a great run. I'm 3 years in. This is my 3rd year calling games, and I just signed a new 3-year deal. So I'll be around for a while, and hopefully I'll get a chance to be able to call another Super Bowl.
Oh, man, that would be awesome. I think we're headed that way.
Yeah, we better, yes.
You know, people ask me all the time, Bill, how can I qualify for, let's talk a little bit about the mortgage part of your business. How can I qualify for a 100% loan? Is that even still possible?
Yes, there are different grants out there. There are different programs that you can associate with a conventional loan as well as an FHA loan. There are first-time home buyer loans that are out there, and that's another aspect of this business that I really enjoy because there are so many misconceptions out there about buying homes, and there are people that may have grown up in a world of just renting, and that's what their grandparents did, that's what their parents do, so that's what they're going to do. It's kind of a comfort zone, and not realizing that, especially in these days, the amount of money that you're paying in rent, you could buy a house and you can grow some equity. And I got 5 adult kids. I'm an empty nester, thank goodness, yes. And I've been preaching to them about the importance of home ownership and just breaking down some of the numbers and letting them know about programs like that. So you can do MHDC funds that are out there. You have other programs where professionals loans, doctor loans, etc. So I always talk about the importance of connecting with a quality loan officer to explore your options. There are different banks that have different programs, but sitting down with somebody and speaking about your specific situation can provide dividends for you and a wealth of knowledge and opportunity. And I used to go to churches and do first-time homebuyer classes and credit awareness. A lot of people don't know about their credit scores. They don't know what hurts their credit, what helps their credit. They may not be in a position to buy a house right now based on some of those circumstances, but helping them move along to maybe 6 months or 12 months down the road, having that goal of home ownership. So there's a lot that's out there, and I try to pride myself in being available for people just to converse with, just to knock down some of those walls and misconceptions about home ownership. So that's kind of what I assume is my role. I know you, as a realtor, it's not just about selling and listing. There's more to it, and you do a great job with your clients as well. And I feel like this is the big, and you know this as well as I do, this is the largest transaction that most people will ever have in life.
Yeah.
And I want them to feel as comfortable as possible with it, but as knowledgeable about it as well.
You know, with the rising interest rates, that's the top of the news. In fact, even today, the Fed raised the rates a little bit. Can a person still afford to buy a home? I mean, that's the biggest question people are asking me. Man, the interest rates. Well, people are still buying and selling.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing I think there's a constant, that people will always need to buy homes. There will always be homes that will be available. Sometimes it can get a little scarce, but there's still opportunities where people are selling, people are moving, transitioning for jobs, and houses become available. A lot of builders are building homes still now. I think we got spoiled. For several years, when you had the rates in the 2.5s and 3s, people thought that was the norm. When I got into business, they were 8, 9, 10% interest rates, and people still thought that was okay because my parents and grandparents bought homes for 15%, like they were credit card interest rates. So one thing about this generation now is connecting with them to let them know that don't get scared. Like, don't be scared away from buying a home and having equity in a house that you own just because you hear about the interest rates. The interest rates, I locked a person yesterday at 6.125. Okay. That's a good rate on a house he was putting 10% down. It might be a little higher if you don't have money to put down, but he had great credit, good income, and he was a solid borrower. The difference between payments and interest rates between an eighth or a quarter, depending on how much of a house you buy, could be like $10 a month. I mean, it could be small potatoes. So don't allow that fear or the fear of the media and what they're, providing to us and the information based on where we came from. Just because it was 3% 2 years ago doesn't mean that you still can't afford a house. You may not be able to afford as much of a house, but you can afford a house, and there's going to be a program that you can fit into.
You know, when a person is not experienced in the home buying process, what are the things that they need to have in their possession before they come and talk to you?
So they need to have a full-time job.
Okay.
If they are self-employed, they need to be self-employed for at least 2 years. I have 2 years tax returns so that we can see what their true income is.
Okay.
I tell my borrowers before they even fill out an application, we can do applications electronically. They can do them on their phone, on their laptops, but I send them a checklist of items that they need to gather together. Because most of the time, as you know, borrowers are the most engaged up front. That's when they're most excited. That's when they're ready to buy a home. They're ready to start shopping for a house. Maybe they've even started to look around at homes. So I want them to have all that documentation ready. W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements. Everything else, we can fill in the blanks afterwards. But if you can gather those together and then complete the application, provide that information to me, allow me to dissect everything, and then I can say, okay, well, John Doe, I know you're looking at a purchase price of X, but here's what you can afford based on the numbers. Now, that doesn't mean you have to spend that much, but it means at least you know where you can start shopping. And then you and I, in our relationship, I would communicate that with you so all the parties are aware of what's going on, what can and what can't be done. and then you can direct the traffic in regards to listing or looking at listings, and then I can provide that pre-qualification letter up front so everybody knows what everybody can shop for. So I would just tell borrowers, contact me. I know it's easy in this generation to go online and do something, but like I said earlier, this is the biggest transaction that you will have. So make sure you connect with a professional and talk through your needs. As you mentioned, no down payment loans, minimum down payment loans. Those are quality opportunities because you don't want to have somebody go into a house cash poor. Like they use all of their money, all of their savings to put 10% down, to put 20% down because that's what they believe they have to do. And they may be able to qualify with 3% down. And now they don't have to put sheets up over their windows until they can get their next check to get window treatments and blinds and stuff. So that's where the communication and the back and forth and the trusted relationship that you build with a borrower comes from.
You know, I know some people want to get out and start shopping immediately.
Yes.
And sometimes they want to start looking for homes without even having talking to a lender or professional like yourself. What do you think about that? Explain what advantages or disadvantages there are if a person is not pre-qualified.
So one, it could be a waste of time because you may be months away from qualifying. Your credit could be a little bit lower than where it needs to be. You could have not been in your job long enough or what have you. So going out and getting yourself excited and traveling around in the parade of homes and looking at all the different places, it could be a helpful opportunity because as long as you got your mind right, you can look at and say, okay, this is what I'd like to have in my house. This is what I wouldn't like to have in my house. Maybe this house is too big. That's too small for me and my family. And you can kind of get a range of an idea of what you're looking at. But any kind of offer, any kind of opportunity on that house won't be valid until you actually have a pre-qualification or a pre-approval letter. So educating the borrowers on that, to me, is optimal. Letting them know that let's get this part of the transaction done first. A lot of borrowers, as I'm sure you've seen in your career, they go shopping first, then they come back, and now it's a mad scramble to catch up. We like this house, we want to put an offer on this house, or we did put an offer on this house, now I need to get the loan. Okay, well, we still got to order an appraisal, title work, get your credit, underwrite all your documents. And we don't want this to be a frustrating process for you. This should be the most happy process that you should go through because it's the biggest transaction you'll ever have. So let us navigate that with you as opposed to maybe jumping the gun and finding a property or negotiating a property and the purchase price up front. You might lose earnest money because you couldn't qualify or different things like that. So there's so many negatives. Let the positives outweigh the negatives in connecting with us first. Yeah.
So let's say, for example, I'm a first-time home buyer or just a home buyer in general, and I want to get started looking for a home.
Yeah.
I meet with you. I get my pre-qualification letter. Then what has to happen in this process for me to ultimately end up in a home?
Okay, so the pre-qualification letter, and I know people say pre-approval and pre-qualification letter. There are some similarities in the two. A pre-qualification letter says that you completed an application and everything on the application, if everything on the application is true, you qualify for X amount of home. All right? The difference between the pre-qualification and the pre-approval is that now you've substantiated everything. So if you tell me on your application you make $5,000 a month between you and your spouse, or maybe just you, then between pre-qualification and pre-approval, you've given me pay stubs and W-2s to show and prove that you make $5,000 a month. The pre-approval also factors in the property. So you buy a house for $300,000, or you write a contract for $300,000. We order an appraisal to make sure that the house is worth $300,000. That's also part of the pre-approval. So we'll give you the pre-qualification based on you just completing an application. The pre-approval process could take a few days after that because we have to order the appraisal and so on. That's all the work that we do. If you want to order an inspection, sometimes we don't require them as a lender, but you may want, and I encourage people, you want a deeper inspection. Go ahead, we can help you facilitate that. And then all the weight is on our shoulders. So I think that's where the refreshing part of the process can be, is if a borrower and I build a rapport and they trust me and they give me all that information up front, then I can just say, hey, go relax. I'll get back to you in 48 hours, 72 hours. I'll keep you posted along with the realtor, letting you know the benchmarks, the appraisal's ordered. It's back in. I'll send you a copy of the appraisal. So you know that you're buying something that's worth what you signed for. I mean, I feel like, if we went to the store and bought some shoes and we went back online and realized we paid too much for the shoes, we'd probably be a little bit upset. Right. So my job in the process as a lender is to make sure that you're content with everything that you're signing your name on.
That's good. Will a person, once they get started in this process, you're like a partner or a walk through that whole
like a
process,
financial advisor.
Like a financial advisor. So it makes sense to connect with you early on in that process. Yeah. Now, when they do connect with you, do you actually go out to the home, or what do you do to help give them the confidence that they're doing the right thing?
So I will do anything that is comfortable for them. Okay. There are some borrowers, millennials, if you want to call them, Gen Zs, where they do everything on the phone, they text, they don't want to meet in person, and that's fine. We can do that way. There are older families and older people that need their hand held and they don't do computers well. We can work with them there. I can do, if there's somebody that's traveling or out of town that's coming in, transitioning from a different place, and they just want to, I said, just give me 20 minutes on the phone. You can be in the airport. You can be driving. Just give me 20 minutes on the phone and I can do a complete application over the phone and then input everything for you. So it's kind of one of those deals where I don't box myself in and here's what you have to do and I'm going to put it all on your plate, because everybody's in a different walk of life. So for me, it's meeting the borrower where they are, what they need, and providing the opportunity for them to ask any questions, feel comfortable about the entire process, and make sure that they get the information, all the information that they need so that they can sleep well. Because, those tension, that last 15 days can be a tense time for most people because they're coordinating moving companies, they're they may be moving kids in schools, they got, furniture and everything else that they need to buy, and all of these different things that are coming with the package of buying a home. And sometimes it can be frustrating, but a lot of times part of the frustration is because either they're not getting communicated with from a lender, or they weren't communicated enough with up front to feel more peace about it.
We're getting into the December, January. What do you see this coming year, things headed? Do you still feel like we're going to be in a position where maybe rates continue to rise? And I know who knows, right? But what is the bank? What are you guys hearing or seeing on the streets?
So what we're hearing after the announcement today that the rates went up, I believe they went up 0.5 point. Okay. We're hearing that there's probably going to be, this is not the last time that they will go up, and many economists believe that it can go up to 0.5 to 0.75 again, one more time. Now, on the flip side, after the first quarter, around the end of the winter into the spring, they feel like that's where the sun is going to come out and things are going to open up. Now, that's kind of normal when you got the winter. Once that March-April time frame comes, it usually loosens up anyway. I have people that are pre-qualified that have been in my pipeline for 6 months. They just haven't been able to find houses in their price range or what they like. That's a good thing. So that also adds to having borrowers start doing that documentation and everything up front, because as long as your credit doesn't change, your pre-qualification doesn't change. So doing that up front, and maybe you might not be ready to really get a house or sign a contract for another 6 months. Maybe you want to wait to see where the rates go in next summer. At least you can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're pre-qualified or pre-approved up front. So I encourage that. I feel like we are in the midst of a little bit of a storm in the mortgage industry, but I've been in the business for almost 20 years. I've been down this road before. Yeah. And we'll come out on the other side. And I think what I've heard from different economists that'll probably be next summer.
Yeah.
So
I like that strategy. You're being very proactive.
Yeah.
Don't sit around and wait. If you meet with you, see what you can help them do, see what they qualify now. That could get better. The interest rates could come down. You want to be ahead of the game. The first thing they should be doing is contacting someone like you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like there's no negative to that. I mean, sometimes just knowing your buying power. And with the internet, with your website and you and Rhonda, you can connect with somebody and say, okay, well, my lender told me that I can afford a $300,000 house. And you can probably provide them with a few different options of what $300,000 looks like if they're a first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. So having that connection up front at least allows people to kind of feel like now I can just shop. It's like shopping for next year's Christmas. It's like you have several months to do so. Yeah. You don't have to feel the pressure of doing it right now. But you know that you're qualified with this credit card or whatever to shop for whatever you need for next year. And if you get it now, great. If you don't get it now, you can wait a few more months. Okay. To me, that's the luxury of home ownership, is that there's usually never any pressure to do so. And as long as you're able to know what you can qualify for and what you can get, usually people have a little bit more of a peace of mind throughout.
Does it cost you anything to become pre-qualified or pre-approved?
No,
so
not
it
doesn't make it doesn't have, there's no negatives.
Yeah.
To be able to complete the application, we pull your credit, and what I will do is that people get scared. Oh, you're going to pull my credit way too many times and all that. No. Once we pull your credit, my communication with you is, as long as your credit stays in this range, you're fine. Yeah. We won't pull it again until you come back and you have a property in mind, or you're ready to reactivate your buying opportunities, or you're looking out and you're taking them on trips to houses and looking at houses. Then we can reactivate it. That might be 6 months down the road. I'm not going to pull your credit every month. I'm not going to pull your credit every time you call me. But once you're ready, then we'll move back 2 steps, pull your credit, make sure everything's updated. A credit report is good for 60 days. So if you pull it now, you can shop for the next 60 days. And if you find something after that, we'll pull another credit report after that. So those are the different things, like the misconceptions, again, all these different scare tactics, I guess you can say, that borrowers have been ingrained in potential borrowers or people that rent. Like, I want to be that person and that source, that one, that they trust, and 2, that's going to shoot them straight where, hey, like, that's not true. Like, your credit is not going to go down 50 points just because we pulled your credit. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go out and you're buying a car, and you got a bunch of credit cards and you're late on bills, then that's the whole different topic. But if you keep everything straight, then I think this process can be really smooth.
Well, let's talk about some of the fun stuff.
All right.
I see that big gigantic ring on your finger. It looks so fantastic.
Thank you.
I might have to borrow that sometime.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about, I know you do some other stuff. I know you're retired now, but I do know there's an organization that you belong to, the Chief Sponsor. Tell us a little bit about that and some of the fun things.
So outside of the mortgage world, when I get to step away from that laptop, like I said, I still have one foot in the locker room, and playing with the Chiefs organization, we have a really special group called the Chiefs Ambassadors. And the Chiefs Ambassadors are former players with the Chiefs that have played at least 3 years with the Chiefs and are still in this area and still want to be connected to the community and charitable endeavors. We give away money in scholarships. We raise a lot of money for different causes, cancer with kids and Kids TLC and Big Brothers Big Sisters, a lot of those, as well as just some high schools that need money or kids that need money. that are in high school or going to college. So it's Lamar Hunt. When he originated this team, he really focused on the players getting ingrained in the community. And the community, the Chiefs Kingdom, they embrace us. And I always tell people, like, I entertain people on Sundays, occasional Mondays, and occasional Thursdays for 6 years, and that opened the door for a platform for me for life. And I don't want to use that platform just to be, okay, that's former Chief Danan Hughes. Like, there's other things that we can be serving in the community. So with the Chiefs, obviously they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago, and one of the greatest gifts, like, I never coached in the NFL, never planned on coaching. My playing days are obviously over. I just chalked it up that I would never get a Super Bowl. I wasn't going to be involved in the NFL to that extent. And during COVID, we had Zoom calls for meetings with the Chiefs ambassadors. So there's 55 of us, roughly. And we got guys that played for the Dallas Texans. So we got like 7 decades of Chiefs players that are part of the Chiefs ambassadors. So we got Hall of Famers like Bobby Bell and Jan Stenerud, Willie Lanier, Will Shields. And we got guys like Jerry Cornelison that played for the Dallas Texans. And now you fast forward, we got guys like Tom Bahali, who just retired just a few years ago. So it's a special group, and it's great that the Chiefs recognize how special we are. We're the only team in the NFL that has an ambassador group. Wow. Out of all 32 teams in the NFL, no other team has an ambassador group. And so we have a Zoom meeting during COVID after the Super Bowl. Most of us went down to the Super Bowl, experienced it, one of the most emotional games for a lot of us because we never went. And to see the Chiefs win was crazy. And then I'd say probably 4 months later, Clark Hunt jumps on the Zoom call with us because we're not meeting in person as ambassadors during the COVID. And he says, by the way, we decided that we're going to grant you guys Super Bowl rings.
Oh, man.
And let me tell you, bro, it was like, wow. You would think that it would be like cheering and stuff. I mean, guys turned off their camera. They were crying. Oh, yeah. Like, it was emotional because, like I said, we just felt like this is something that we'll never experience, we'll never get. And it was a really, really cool moment that the Chiefs organization saw our value, saw that we were part of the family. And even though we didn't play and didn't have blood, sweat, and tears in Miami down there, that we were still worthy because of what we contributed in the community. So it was a real heartfelt situation. It was a real emotional type of deal. When we finally got the rings, like the elation and the emotion that was involved in it was really, really cool. So I cherish this. Some people want to put it on their mantle. I'm wearing it. Like, I'm wearing mine. I love it.
You know, I do know the Chiefs do a lot of, like you said, charitable things. Mm-hmm. I know one of the things is a golf tournament that they put on. I've had the pleasure of playing in that. Mm-hmm. Didn't win, but I've had the pleasure of playing in it. What are some other things that people can get involved with? Can they get involved in the golf tournament? Are there some other things that people don't play golf that they want to be a part of the Chiefs organization that they can get involved with?
So this is a great time, and it's a great question because, as many people hopefully know, we have the NFL draft coming to Kansas City in April. So what is this, December now? So you got 4.5 months. And you'll have the NFL draft here in Kansas City. Wow. And so we to answer your question, we have the annual golf tournament that we raise a lot of money for great causes around Kansas City. We're a 501c3, so it's all charitable donations. We have a gala that we have that last year was our second year, and it's been huge. We have it downtown Kansas City, a few hundred people, live music, live auction, just a really, really fun night. Again, raising money for a great cause. With the draft coming in town, we're going to have other events that are going to be associated. We're having an NFL alumni golf tournament that's going to be up at the National the day of the draft. So that Thursday, which the first round is on the Thursday in April, I believe it's like April 27th or something like that, we'll have during the day, we'll have a golf tournament, and then we'll have a watch party and a VIP type of deal for watching the draft, the first round. Because most people, the downtown Union Station is going to be jam-packed. There's going to be people that are going to want to be a part of it, but not in the middle of it. So we're going to provide opportunities Thursday and Friday to kind of hobnob with us, former players, watch the draft, do Q&As, and it'd be a really cool event to bring your family, not just your kid, your wife, but bring your family to. So a lot that's going to be going on over the next 6 months, because usually our gala is in the middle of May, and then our golf tournament is usually in the second week of September. So over the next year, that's what we'll be having.
So people want to get involved in any of this. I guess they can reach out to you.
Yes. So I'm the communications director for the Chiefs Ambassadors. So you can reach out to me, Danan Hughes, and on social media. So I'm at DAHughesGuy83 on Twitter. I'm Danan Hughes, at Danan Hughes on Instagram. At Central Bank of the Midwest, Danan.Hughes at centralbank.net as an email. You can also we have a website. If you go to the Chiefs website, chiefs.com, there is a link on there for the Kansas City Chiefs Ambassadors that they can go to, and you'll see information there, and you can inquire about putting a team in the golf tournament or having a table at the gala or just being a part of some of the upcoming things we have. We also do a lot of appearances around town. So schools will contact us for their graduations and assemblies and different charitable. Like I can go through my phone and Sean Barber and Bobby Bell and those guys, Duron Cherry are out and about in the community doing great things. So different organizations. I did an appearance at Red Door Grill for their managers meeting, just to talk about leadership. And then answer questions about the Chiefs. So it's not just football oriented. We have a lot of really well-spoken guys that know how to connect in business situations. And if there's companies like GEHA or T-Mobile or Big Brothers Big Sisters or whomever that would want us to come out, they can contact us through there as well.
Excuse me. Are you guys still in contact with the current players?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know about what Patrick Mahomes is like and all the other Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys get to rub elbows with those guys? I mean,
yeah. So there's not as much hobnobbing with them, but the Chiefs set up every year after the draft, before they go to training camp, a rookie night, and they invite specifically the Chiefs ambassadors to have dinner with all the rookies and all the newcomers to the team. So we get to introduce ourselves to everybody, tell people what we do, let the kids, I say kids, they are kids, they younger than my kids, let them know how they can connect with us to get settled in Kansas City, especially if they're new to town. So we've been to all those rookie dinners when Patrick was a rookie, when Travis was a rookie, when I was a rookie. They had the dinners back then, and now I have the good fortune of being able to travel with the team because I'm in the broadcast. So I'm part of the broadcast. So I travel on a team plane, stay in a team hotel. So I get a little bit more access. I go in the locker room after the game, do interviews. So I'm more recognizable to some of the young guys because they see me around every game. And I just let them know who I am. And I'll bump into them and want them to feel comfortable. And at the same time, if there's a question that they have about where to live in the city, where do we go get a haircut? Where do all those different things that we may take for granted, that a 21-year-old that just signed a $1 million contract never had money before, he doesn't know all those different things. So that's another great thing about the ambassadors.
That's awesome. Well, it's such a pleasure again for you to come and spend some time with us, share all this information about the Chiefs, about how to get a great mortgage, how and home ownership. All those kind of things are near and dear to our listeners and people who follow us. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thank
I appreciate
you so
the invite, man.
And,
thanks for having me. This is fun, and I like talking about football and sports, but at the same time, the home mortgage world that's near and dear to my heart too. So it's cool.
That's what makes this so much fun.
Yeah.
We still get to have fun. Still talk about football.
Exactly.
Even though we're realtors and a mortgage lender. And so we'll make sure that people are able to reach out to you. I'm sure, we'll put that information.
Yeah, have all my information, all my
get to
contact.
you. Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate
No problem.
it.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.